Yo, what's goody with y'all, man? We back with another video, man. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to read every single coverage in Madden 25. I got y'all. Before we get into it, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below if you have any comments or questions or concerns about Madden 25. I got y'all, man. But let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so our first coverage that we're gonna be looking at is cover one, which is man-to-man with one high safety. We're going to be looking at one high safety defenses, and I'm going to be telling you guys how to tell the difference between the coverages. All right, so let's go and jump into it. All right, so this is cover one, obviously. Now, a good way to tell that this is cover one is if you take a good look at the corners and the slots. If you look at the corners and the slot corners, you can obviously tell that these guys are pressed up. They're playing their man. They're lined up right in front of their man. And then you have this one high safety up top. That's a great indication that this is man-to-man. Now, if you're on offense and you still can't tell, because obviously now in this situation, cover one looks like cover three. They pretty much look the same. But just in case you guys don't know, you can simply just motion. And when you motion, this guy ends up following you. And that's a great indication that this is man-to-man. He's following that the tight end right there, so that's a great indication that it's man-to-man. But like I say, one high safety, and you see how the corners they're playing really pressed up on their respective receivers that they're supposed to be guarding. But let's take a look at cover three. Now you see cover three, you see how the slot corner on the left side, he kind of backs up a little bit. But obviously, like I say, if you can't tell, if you just cannot tell, because in this situation, the corners on the outside, they don't really move. They don't move, so it doesn't give off any indications that this is like man-to-man or anything like that. You just can't tell with these outside corners, but you can definitely tell with the slot. But like I say, if you cannot tell, obviously you want to motion over again. And as you see, that's a great way to tell that this is coverage, because now that guy did not follow the tight end on that play. Or he did not follow the tight end right here. So that's a great indication that is cover three. And also another way you can tell, obviously, like I say, with the slots, if you just when you hike the ball, you can obviously tell that this is going to be cover three and how that's lined up. But look, if you take a look at the difference, you see the difference there. You see that slot corner, he pretty much plays pressed up on him, and that's what you want. That's exactly what you want right there. And you're obviously going to tell that's man-to-man, and this is cover three. All right, now let's take a look at the two high safety defenses in Madden 25. There are a bunch of two high safety defenses. Now you have cover two man, you have cover four quarters, cover four palms, cover six, and cover nine. And I know that is a lot of defense to cover and break down, but it's definitely worth it if you guys are trying to get better at Madden. All right, so all you have to do is really pay attention to the alignment, pay attention to how these guys line up, and it's really easy to tell. You just kind of have to pay attention to detail, and once you pay attention to detail, you can get into your games and really cook up and get that good record that you guys always wanted, right? I know you guys really wanted that crazy record, but this is cover two man, which is two man under. This defense is really basic. If you guys look, just look at the corners. They're about 2 yards off the ball, which this is a great indication that this is just straight up man-to-man, because everybody's just lined up pretty much one-on-one with each other. It's very simple. Now, one indication, if you guys are really stuck and can't really tell the difference between man-to-man and even zone, one indication I like to do is motion. That's one thing I like to do, is have a motion play, and you see how the safety or the cornerback follows Jamar Chase from the one side to the other. That's an indication that it's man-to-man. Now, another indication you can tell that this is cover two man is that there are safeties up top that are playing help. They're playing help over the top, and that's the main reason why these guys are playing inside leverage, because they have safety help over the top. That makes complete sense in this situation. But now let's go to cover two. And I want to break something down for you guys before we get into cover two. But if you guys look and pay attention to cover 2, you see that there's an immediate difference between man-to-man and cover 2 Tampa 2. There's an immediate difference. Now, let's say for example, in this situation, let's say your opponent decides to press, right? And let's say you can't really tell that this is man-to-man. You can't really tell. But your first indication, the first thing you want to do, if you can't tell the difference, you see how in man-to-man that when you did that motion, he went all the way to the other side to stay in front of him, right? Let's say you motion. Now he does not go all the way. He goes over to the nearest man. That's typically what they do. And this right here could really mess up defenses, especially coverages. It doesn't really mess up man-to-man, but this really messes up a lot of people's coverage. And this could get really, really glitchy. But let's go ahead and just take a look at Tampa 2 and how it's set up. All right, so the first read that I like to make is the high safeties. When you read the high safeties, they're about 14 yards off the ball. And if you look at the outside cornerbacks, they're about 5 yards off the ball. That's great, because now you're like, okay. This is cover 2. Now you can come up with route combinations and really fry this defense, right? But now the same thing applies in cover 2 man. The safeties don't move. They don't move in cover 2 man. The only people that move are the corners, the slot, and the linebacker. Those are the only people that really move. So you have 4 players out of the 2 that don't move. So in that situation, you're good to go. Now let's get into cover 4 quarters. Now cover 4 quarters, this can be a little bit tricky, but if you look at the difference between cover 2, when you go to cover 2, you see these safeties, how you see the outside corners. I mean, the outside cornerbacks. Let's just take a look at the corners. When you go to cover 4, you see they back up to about an 8-yard depth, 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. And now you're like, okay, like I say, if you guys cannot tell, you simply just want to motion. This is one indication that this is coverage and not man-to-man. Regardless of what you do, you know that this is coverage. Now you can kind of continue reading your defenses. But let's go back to Tampa 2. Take a look at the safeties. The safeties, like I said, they're about 14 yards off the ball. But when you go to quarters, they're about 12 yards off the ball. They move up just a little bit closer with these outside corners. On the outside cornerbacks are about 8 yards off the ball. And that's a perfect indication that this is cover 4 quarters. Now let's take a look at cover 4 palms. Now this is the same defense. Now the only thing that changed was if you pay attention to the slot corner and the middle linebacker that's on the right. Let's switch to quarters. Quarters, they move up to about 4 yards off the line of scrimmage. But when you go to palms, they go up to about the 5. So they move back at the 5. And everything pretty much stays the exact same. So this is a great indication that this is cover 4 palms. Now, I know some of you guys are probably asking the question like, what is the difference between cover 4 quarters and palms? I would probably save that for another video. But just know that these defenses play similar, but they're really different. They're different in their own way because the match rules are a little bit different in these defenses. All right, but now we're going to be taking a look at cover 6 and cover 9, which are cover 6 and cover 9 is pretty much cover 2 and cover 4 put into one defense. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's exactly how this is set up. And I'm going to be showing you guys a little secret tip and trick on how to tell how to tell one side from the other. So let's find a cover 9. This cover 9 show 2. So let's go back to our covered shells. So now we're gonna come out in cover 6, right? Now let's take a look at the right side. Just leave the left side alone. Let's look at the right side. Remember how I said earlier in the video is that you want to read your safeties. That's the first thing you want to do, is read your safeties. But if you really pay attention to the safeties, if you look at the right safety, he's backed up at the 14-yard mark, which is an indication that it's cover 2, right? That's the indication, because remember when we went to Tampa 2, that was the same exact setup. But let's take a look at the right side corner. We already looked at the right side safety, but let's look at the right side corner. He's about 5 yards off the ball. That's another indication that there has to be the cover 2 side. Now let's go ahead and I'm gonna put you guys on with a little tip and trick. Now when you switch over to cover 2, look at the left side. They completely change. The right side, the only thing that the linebacker did was kind of shift in just a little bit, but that's not something to really pay attention to. Kind of like I would definitely look at the linebacker, but he's really my last read. I look at the safety and the corner. Those are my 2 reads. So let's go back to cover 6. Now let's take a look at the left side. Now the left side is the cover 4 side. And remember when I said how cover 4 is about 12 yards off the ball and the cornerback is about 8 yards off the ball. And since the cover 4 is match defense, pay attention to how that slot corner is about 5 yards off the ball. So this is like a palms type of play. But when you switch over to cover 4 palms, look at the left side. They don't change. They don't move. They don't change at all. So this is an indication that the left side is palms. That's the cover 4 side, while the right side is the cover 2 side. But in this situation, in this defense, I typically like to attack the cover 2 side. That's just me. I like to attack the cover 2 side because deep halves are just you can kind of abuse them in this game. But like I said, I will save that for another video. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, cover 9. Now, as you see in the play, if you look at the audibles right here, you see cover 9 show 2. Now, the reason why this says cover 9 show 2, the formation or the cover shell we're in is cover 9, right? But we're showing a cover 2. We're supposed to be showing a cover 2, but in this situation we're not. But cover 9 and cover 6 are essentially the same defense, but just flipped. The deep half side, instead of it being on the left side, or instead of it being on the right side like it was for cover 6, now it's on the left side. And pretty much the same principles match. If you look at the left side, 14 yards off the ball for the safety, 5 yards off for the corner, and then you have 5 yards on this on the right side linebacker, and you have on this side. You see the difference between this is that on the right side for the corner, he's about 5 yards off the ball. He's not 8 yards like a typical cover 4, right? A typical cover 4, he's 8 yards off. But the reason he's not is because we're showing a cover 2 defense, which means these guys are matched. But like I said, you have to go through your progressions and read the players. Once you read the players, it's very easy to tell what type of coverage this is. Look at your safeties. Your left side safety is about 14 yards off the ball, but your right side is about 12. So this is a great indication that, oh, this got to be cover 9, because they're offset of each other. They're not lined up the same. So this has to be cover 9 show 2. So they pretty much that's pretty much breaking down the defense. All you have to do is just read the safeties, read the linebackers, read the corners, and you guys are gonna be frying your opponents on offense. You're gonna be killing stuff once you guys get this stuff down. But I recommend going to practice and just looking at this, just setting up your audibles and just really look how these coverages are set up. It's really not that hard to tell. Doesn't really take that much effort to really learn this. It's very, very, very simple things. But I'm gonna be showing you guys the same thing but in a different formation, because I know some of you guys are, well, that's only for nickel over and defense. No, the setup even applies. Let's go to double mug, which double mug is obviously one of the best formations in the game. Let's go to a cover one in double mug. The same thing applies pretty much. Now the alignment is a little bit different. This is cover one. This is not a 2-man under, but everyone's pretty much manned up. Like I said, if you guys cannot tell if this is man to man, slide over, do your motion slides, and he immediately follows him from left to right, right to left. Does not matter. Now let's go to a cover three. Now when you go to a cover three, he's kind of offset. This is not man to man. But when you go to the cover two man, now this is glitch. I gotta redo it. I hate this one. I hate when it does that. But now, okay, as you guys can tell, this is cover one. Now let's go to cover three. Now his players back up a little bit. They back up a little bit and he's not pressed. If you pay attention to how they alignment, how they're lined up, you can easily tell this is cover three. Very, very simple. Just by looking at that. Very simple. Very, very, very simple. Now let's go to a cover two shell. Let's go to a cover two defense. I didn't want to go to cover two invert because that's like something totally different from what you guys seen. So let's go to a regular Tampa 2. Even in double mug, they're pretty much lined up the same exact way with the same rules. 14 yards off the ball for the deep halves, and the corners are about 5. So now you're like, oh, well, okay, this could get really glitchy. And let's see if there's a cover 4. I think they have a cover 4. No, they don't have a cover 4 in here. No, they don't. But this even applies in any formation. Does not really matter. Let's look at the cover 6 in big nickel over G. The same rules apply. Look at the corners. They're lined up a lot differently. Look at the safeties. They're lined up a lot differently. Let's go to cover 4 palms in this. They're about 12 yards off the ball. They're about 8 yards off of the corner. They're 5 yards off the ball for that. Like, let's go to quarters. You see the slot corner on the right side. He moves up to about 4 yards. Now the defense is glitched out, but it's glitched out at this point. But let's go to regular cover 2. Simple. It's just there's simple adjustments, and this applies to any defensive formation. Does not matter what it is. It could be 4-3. It could be. Let's just take a look. I just want to show you guys. Let's just take a look. I'm walking through, helping you guys learn. So it doesn't matter what formation you run. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be nickel. It does not have to be. We can do the most famous defense in the game. 4-3, even 6-1. Let's do cover 4 quarters, which is the same thing. It's gonna be lined up pretty much the same way. Now in this situation, these guys are they're pretty much kind of pressed up, but the rules still apply. If you look at the safeties, look at the outside corners. These are indications that, okay, this is still a cover 4 shell. And even if I switch to a cover 3, I still initially you have to pay attention. In this situation, for the cover 3, you normally would see the cover 3 sit like this. This is how you normally would see it. But in 4-3-6-1 even, just how these formations are lined up, you would definitely see the cover 3 kind of lined up like this. But in this situation, it's kind of lined up like this. But you can easily tell that this is cover 3 as well, because the safety moves in just a little bit. the safety moved in. Well, I moved him, so he's not going to be lined up perfectly. But the safety moved in a little bit on that cover 4 for the cover 3. So when you switch to cover 3, you see how the safety kind of moves down. He moves inside. He moves all the way right here about 9 yards, in which there is no deep half or no deep zone playing that. Remember, the deep zones play about 12 to 14 yards off the ball, while the inside zones or the yellow zones play about underneath this. So they play underneath about 9-10 yards. So these are great indications. Like I say, for cover 4, you have the corners on the corners backed up about 8 yards for cover 4 if this was a cover 4 shell. So yeah, the cover 4 shell, the corners are lined up about 8 yards off the ball, which is cool. You go to cover 3, you see this one high safety. It's one safety up top, and that's pretty much it. But anyway, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, man, make sure if you guys learned a lot from this video, leave a comment down below. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns that you guys have about in Madden 25, all you gotta do, hit me up, and I got you. I'm gonna answer your questions and stuff like that. Anyway, boys, y'all have a great day, great night, or whatever time, or great day whenever time you're watching this video. Y'all stay safe, stay out of trouble, man. And I'm out there, bit.